Welcome to Rose Red Homestead. Today we're going to be doing a video, another one, on dehydrating. This time I'm going to give you a fabulous shortcut for dehydrating vegetables. So we'll be right back. Jim and I really appreciate having frozen vegetables in our freezer ready to go. Just open up the bag, pour it into a little bit of water, heat it up on the stove, and we have a nice side dish for meals. The same is true for dehydrated vegetables, only here's the difference. With things in a freezer, if the grid goes down, we may or we may not be able to preserve those things. But having some dehydrated vegetables on a pantry shelf really gives peace of mind and allows us to be prepared for whatever might happen. I use dehydrated vegetables all the time in soups and stews, so they are very convenient. So here, this is our shortcut. We are going to start with frozen vegetables, and I would so much rather use these than I would growing the vegetables myself, peeling them, chopping them, preparing them for dehydrating. Now, don't get me wrong, I have done that before. Earlier, when I had all of my children at home and I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years, which I feel very blessed to have been able to do, I took quite a bit of, well, I guess there's only one word for it, pride in the fact that I liked to do everything from scratch. I baked things from scratch, I cooked things from scratch, I gardened, and everything came out of my garden that I would do from scratch. I sewed all of our clothes, including my husband's suits. Well, I am happy to tell you that I have outgrown that. One of the things that I tell my university students is that in my class, they're going to work hard, so they might as well work smart. And then I give them some shortcuts and some ways that they can be much more efficient. I've decided to adopt that mantra for myself. I have always worked hard, just like you, I'm sure. And if we're going to work hard, we might as well work smart as well. And using these frozen vegetables is one way of really working smart. If you have watched our Dehydrating Basics video, you heard me explain 3 reasons why it is really important. We need to blanch vegetables before we dehydrate them. The great thing about starting with frozen vegetables is the blanching has already been done, and the best part, it was done by somebody else. Yay! All right, so here's what we're going to do. We like to watch for really good sales on frozen vegetables, and Jim found some good sales. A 1 pound bag usually fills a tray, and so we have about 6 pounds of vegetables here. So I am just going to quickly open them and show you how I load them on the shelf, on the tray, and I put about 1 pound of vegetables per tray, and this is a 12-ounce package, so I'm going to open another one of these and put about half of it on here. Now, you're probably noticing that I pile these up pretty deep, and that's true, I do, because these dehydrate very quickly. So these are several layers thick, but in the morning when we take these out of the dehydrator after they're already done, I think you'll be surprised at the space between all of them, because the air gets all around these. There's no problem with the air getting, the hot air to remove the moisture. We'll get around them just fine. And so this is about just a little bit over 1 pound per tray here. And this mixed vegetables is one that I especially like for soups and stews. And then I can also use dehydrated potatoes, dehydrated onions, and just make the soup base and throw these vegetables in, and it's so convenient. All right, now these are 2 pound packages. Also notice that in every one of the trays I have the little inserts in so that I can put pretty small things on them. So these are 2-pound bags that Jim got a steal on. So I'm going to put about half. Now these are roly-polies, so I've got to keep them from rolling every which direction. Mostly successful. And these vegetables just become shadows of their former selves during dehydrating. We remove about probably 90 to 95% of the moisture in all of these veggies, and they just shrink down to practically nothing. Okay, and here's the last pound. And I'd like to move these to the edges so that we can get them as thin as possible, but I'm not at all concerned that they may be 2 or 3 deep, because they will dehydrate just fine. Now I use those peas when we do peas and rice. And so I'll cook the rice part of the way, and then I'll throw in those frozen peas, and they will be just about right by the time that the rice is done, and it makes for a very nice side dish. Sometimes when I'm making taco soup, instead of using canned corn, I will just throw in some of this dehydrated corn. And it works great as well. And you can use the dehydrated vegetables for about the same things that you would use the frozen vegetables for. These will reconstitute just fine if I want a side dish of veggies. They don't taste 100% like their frozen cousins, but they're pretty close. And these would be such a nice addition on an emergency preparedness storage shelf for when times get really hard if the grid goes down. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put these in the dehydrator. I'm going to set the thermometer, or the temperature, not the thermometer, the temperature gauge at about 135. I usually do vegetables between 135 and 140, but I'm going to start at 135. And I'm going to set the timer for as high as it goes, which is 19 and a half hours. It will not take that long. But I like to set it all the way so that I control when the dehydrator shuts off. I don't want it to turn off in the middle if I'm trying to guess how long it's going to take. My guess is that these will take about 12 to 15 hours. So we will be back in the morning after these are all completely done, and I will show you the results and then show you how we package them. So I'll see you in the morning. Good morning. Here we are. These have been dehydrating all night long, and it has been about 15 and a half hours. And the corn finished up first, but I just went ahead and let it go that extra hour to make sure that everything was completely dry. So I have some pint jars here ready, and if you remember the amount, those big bags that we emptied it all over these trays, let's see how much it's going to fill up. So I'm going to move this here so you can see it, and I'll just take this inner liner and then I bend it a little bit, and everything falls into the funnel and then right into the pint jar. And there are some slow pokes here. So it looks like we are going to be able to get 2 pounds of corn dehydrated into 1 pint. So we'll see. This one looks like it has a little bit more. All right, so that is up to the very top. if I have a few little leftovers, I'm just going to make a 1 jar of a mixture. I thought that might happen. That's why I prepared a 4th jar. So we'll see if 4 pints are enough. Now here are the peas. Of all of these vegetables, peas have the highest protein. So it is always good to add peas to soups and stews, especially in an emergency situation where good meals with high protein are going to be very important. So it looks like we'll have about the same situation, although I don't know. But if you remember how full these trays were when we put them in, and now they're every one of these peas, nothing is double stacked. Everything is just down on the main tray. That one was a little bit large. I thought maybe it was soft, but it wasn't. It just popped, and it was all powdery. All right, so all of these peas are going to fit in this pint. A few of them right here. Just pushing them through the holes. My goodness, they are very dry. They're powdering if I pinch them. So, very nice pint of peas. Now we will do the mixed veggies. And of course, the vegetable to take the longest to dry on these trays was the green beans. Everything else was, oh no! Well, maybe they fell through to the next tray. We'll see. Looks like some carrots have stuck here. Like I said last night when we were putting these in, these mixed vegetables are one of my favorites to have on hand for soups and stews. They're just really convenient. And you can reconstitute them and have a side dish of mixed vegetables as well. Let's see if I can transfer this spill over here to this tray. Good. How are we doing here? About half. That's going to be full, so I'm just going to add these few extras to my catch-all jar here. So we have 3 pints plus a little bit. And of course that little bit is what I will use first. Now I would like to show you how I just finished these off. In fact, this corn may be just a little bit too full. I think I'll put just a little bit more in here. Now I'm going to vacuum seal these. And the convenient thing about this is that I can use some of these, or all, but some of it, and then I can completely re-vacuum seal it. And that's why I like to put these in jars, is because I can keep everything vacuum sealed at all times. Now I am using reused lids. These are clean, and so I just put that right over the top and put this attachment there and turn this on. I'm thinking that it's taking a little too long. And it is. So I'm going to stop it. See what's the matter here. Let's try a different lid. Make sure there's no cracks. And we'll try again. Oh, better put the gasket in. There's usually a pretty good reason why it doesn't seal. Still not sealing. I may have to, well, maybe it did. It did. So maybe it was just about to turn off and I just rushed it. So that one is good. So let's see about this one. There. Good. Phew. For some reason on this regular size attachment, the gasket comes out every single time. It doesn't do that on the wide mouth, so I don't know. Okay, so here is the mixture with a lot of air in it, so we'll see what happens here. I haven't ever vacuum sealed one with so little product in it, so this may not take, I don't know. Maybe it just takes a little time. My goodness, it did it. All right. And the gasket stayed in. And here we go with this one. That was quick. So that sound means it's all good. 6 pounds of vegetables reduced to 3 pints and a little bit. So not too bad. These will go out on our emergency supply shelf, out on our canning shelves, and I will probably do several more batches of these to get us a year's supply. We'll watch for sales on frozen veggies because we surely do like working smart and with great efficiency, and this is really the most economical way, particularly for us, to do dehydrated vegetables, but I always like to have a year's supply of dehydrated vegetables on the shelves. So thank you for joining us. This has been a fun adventure, and we will be doing more on dehydrating. I still want to show you 2 ways to do potatoes, and also Walla Walla onions will be on shortly, and we're headed up to Washington to visit my daughter in a few weeks, and when we come back, we'll come back with some Walla Walla onions. They live very close to Walla Walla, so we'll be doing those sometime this summer as well. So thank you very much, and we will see you next time.